Have you ever paused in the middle of your morning routine, staring at the familiar, comforting oval of an egg, and allowed yourself to truly consider its place in your life? For decades, this humble food has been universally celebrated, held up by nutritionists, doctors, and fitness gurus alike as nature's most perfect and complete package of life-sustaining protein, essential vitamins, and brain-boosting nutrients that are critical for cognitive function. It represents the quintessential breakfast for millions of people across the globe, a deeply ingrained cultural symbol of a strong, healthy, and productive start to the day. The simple act of cracking an egg into a pan is a ritual, a familiar sound and smell that promises nourishment and energy. But for those of us who have gracefully entered the chapter of life beyond 60, there exists a crucial, complex, and often entirely unspoken part of this story that deserves our most careful attention. The fundamental problem, a truth that can be difficult to confront, is not with the egg itself in its pure and unadulterated form. The egg remains a powerhouse of nutrition. The danger lies in the common, seemingly innocuous, and deeply ingrained mistakes we unknowingly make when we select, prepare, and consume them. These are the small, almost invisible, everyday habits that can insidiously transform this incredible superfood into a potent trigger for a cascade of health issues we often attribute simply to the process of aging. Chronic inflammation that settles into our joints, the persistent and debilitating ache of joint pain, the frustrating haze of brain fog that clouds our thoughts, and the silent, dangerous climb of our cholesterol levels. Are you absolutely certain, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the specific way you whisk and scramble your eggs every morning is not a contributing factor to the stiffness that greets you when you get out of bed? Could that one single, popular, and delicious addition you place on your plate alongside your omelette be secretly and systematically sabotaging the health of your heart and cardiovascular system? This exploration is not intended to incite fear or to convince you to abandon a beloved food. Rather, it is about empowerment through knowledge. Because gaining a deep and clear understanding of these few simple yet profound errors can be the definitive key to unlocking the full, powerful, and life-enhancing benefits of eggs, allowing you to reclaim the vibrant, energetic, and pain-free health that you so richly deserve. The unseen saboteur, cooking with inflammatory oils. The very first and perhaps most pervasive misstep in the journey of an egg from its shell to your plate happens long before it even begins to sizzle and hiss in the pan. It is a mistake that is silent, odorless, and so deeply embedded in our cooking traditions that we rarely give it a second thought. It lies within the very substance we unthinkingly choose to coat the surface of our skillet, the cooking oil. For generations, kitchens have been stocked with what was most convenient, most affordable, or what was most aggressively marketed to us as being heart-healthy during various food fads. This often translates to a quick splash from a large, clear plastic bottle of generic vegetable oil, a convenient but chemical-laden spritz from a non-stick cooking spray, or a melting pat of margarine, a highly processed substance once hailed as a healthier alternative to butter. While these items are undeniable staples in countless households, they share a deeply damaging and insidious secret. They are almost universally overloaded with pro-inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids. Our bodies, in their intricate and delicate design, require a finely tuned balance between these omega-6 fats and their counterpart, the powerfully anti-inflammatory omega-3 fats. The ideal ratio is a subject of some debate, but most experts agree it should be close to 1-to-1 or at most 4-to-1. Yet, the modern Western diet, as has been extensively highlighted by leading researchers at institutions like Harvard Health, has skewed this ratio to a catastrophic degree, often providing up to 20 times more omega-6 than our biological systems are equipped to handle. This profound imbalance acts like a slow-burning, systemic fire within the body, a constant state of low-grade inflammation that smolders beneath the surface day after day, fueling the very chronic conditions that plague us in our later years. This is the fire that can lead to painfully stiff and swollen joints, the dangerous buildup of plaque in our arteries, a disrupted and sluggish metabolism, and even cellular damage that can accelerate the aging process. Imagine the story of Ruth, a vibrant and active 67-year-old who cherished her garden, her long walks with her dog, and her daily ritual of 2 sunny-side-up eggs for breakfast. She always used a common vegetable oil blend, a brand her mother had used, genuinely believing she was making a responsible and healthy choice for her heart. But over a period of years, she found herself plagued by a constellation of troubling symptoms, a persistent and uncomfortable morning bloat, knees that ached with a deep grinding pain, and a concerning steady rise in her LDL or bad cholesterol, despite her otherwise active lifestyle. Her doctor's eventual advice was not to abandon her beloved eggs, which were providing her with high-quality protein and choline for her brain, but to immediately and completely abandon the inflammatory oil she was cooking them in. Ruth, armed with this new knowledge, made a simple yet revolutionary switch. For her daily eggs, she began using a high-quality, cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil, renowned for its rich concentration of oleic acid and polyphenols, both powerful anti-inflammatory agents. On the weekends, as a special treat, she indulged in a small amount of ghee or clarified butter, a stable fat source rich in fat-soluble vitamins and butyrate, which supports gut health. On other days, she simply poached her eggs in simmering water, using no oil whatsoever. The change was nothing short of remarkable. Within a few months, her morning bloating vanished entirely. Her knees felt noticeably more limber and less painful on her morning walks, and her subsequent blood work showed a gratifying drop in her LDL cholesterol. Her breakfast remained a delicious, comforting, and nourishing ritual, but it had been transformed from a source of hidden harm into a force for healing. The oil in your pan is never just a minor detail. It is the foundational element of your meal, and choosing the right one is the absolute first and most critical step toward making your eggs truly and unequivocally beneficial for your long-term health. The classic combo with a dangerous catch: pairing eggs with processed meats. There is perhaps no more iconic, celebrated, and deeply satisfying breakfast duo in the Western culinary tradition than farm-fresh eggs served alongside a portion of sizzling, crispy bacon, a pair of savory, spiced sausage links, or a warm slice of salty cured ham. It is a combination that powerfully evokes feelings of comfort, nostalgia, and tradition, conjuring images of cozy weekend mornings and hearty diner meals. It promises a substantial, protein-rich start to the day, intended to fuel us for hours. However, this classic and beloved pairing comes with a significant and alarmingly serious hidden danger, a catch that transforms a potentially healthy meal into a direct assault on our long-term wellness. Processed meats, it must be understood, are fundamentally and chemically different from the fresh, unprocessed cuts of meat you might buy from a butcher. They are not simply meat. They are highly engineered food products, meticulously designed for an extended shelf life, uniform flavor, and mass production, not for the delicate and complex needs of your biological health. In the process of their creation, they are often loaded with truly staggering amounts of sodium, which directly contributes to high blood pressure and strains the kidneys. Even more concerning is their reliance on chemical preservatives, most notably nitrates and nitrites, which are added to maintain color and prevent the growth of bacteria. When these compounds are exposed to the high heat of a frying pan and the acidic environment of the human stomach, they can undergo a chemical reaction to form nitrosamines, which are potent and well-documented carcinogenic compounds. The additives do not stop there. Substances like butylated hydroxyanisole, BHA, and butylated hydroxytoluene, BHT, are frequently included to prevent fat rancidity. These compounds are so strongly and consistently linked to a host of negative health outcomes, including elevated blood pressure, cholesterol imbalance, chronic inflammation, and even an increased risk of colorectal and stomach cancers, that the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer has officially classified all processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen. This places it in the very same category of certainty for causing cancer as asbestos, alcohol, and tobacco. When you take a nutrient-dense, heart-friendly, and naturally beneficial food like a fresh egg and combine it on the same plate with a serving of processed meat, you are not creating a balanced meal. You are essentially canceling out, and in some ways even reversing, the positive effects of the egg. It is the nutritional equivalent of taking a vital, life-enhancing supplement and immediately following it with a known toxin that actively harms your body's intricate systems. Consider the case of Henry, a proud 70-year-old retired firefighter who was diligently trying to manage his type 2 diabetes. For years, his unwavering breakfast, a habit forged over decades of shift work, was 2 scrambled eggs served with 2 fried sausage links. He saw it as a low-carb, high-protein meal that should have been helping his condition. Gradually, however, a series of troubling and persistent symptoms began to emerge. A constant and distracting tingling sensation in his feet, a classic sign of diabetic neuropathy. A heavy, fatigued and leaden feeling in his legs that made walking feel like a chore. And a profound and predictable energy crash that would hit him every day around noon, leaving him exhausted. A thorough review of his health markers with his endocrinologist revealed the early but definite stages of arterial plaque buildup and worsening nerve inflammation. The primary culprit, they concluded, was not his eggs, but the daily onslaught of inflammatory compounds, advanced glycation end products, and nitrosamines generated from the processed sausage, all of which were significantly amplified when fried at high heat. Henry, understanding the gravity of the situation, wisely kept the eggs as the centerpiece of his breakfast, but gave up the sausage for good. His transformation was about replacement, not deprivation. He began to pair his eggs with slices of creamy avocado, which provided healthy monounsaturated fats and fiber. He added a handful of lightly steamed spinach to his plate to support circulation with nitrates of a vegetable origin, which the body uses beneficially. On other days, he would enjoy his eggs with grilled tomatoes seasoned with antioxidant-rich herbs like oregano and basil. The results of this simple change were nothing short of life-changing. The painful sensitivity in his feet gradually improved, his daytime energy levels stabilized and returned, and his breakfast was transformed from a daily source of harm into a powerful tool for healing and managing his condition. So, the hidden risk of routine, eating eggs the same way every day. This next mistake is perhaps the most subtle and surprising of all, primarily because, on its surface, it does not seem like a mistake in any conventional sense. After all, in so many areas of life, consistency is praised as a virtue. Finding a healthy, simple, affordable, and enjoyable meal like eggs and sticking with it day after day feels like a smart, efficient, and disciplined strategy for managing one's health and daily schedule. It removes decision fatigue and ensures a baseline of quality nutrition. However, when it comes to the complex and dynamic science of human nutrition, especially as our bodies age and our nutritional needs become more specific and pressing, this very routine can subtly and insidiously become a trap. The practice of eating the exact same egg dish, prepared in the exact same way, every single morning without fail, creates a state of what nutritionists call nutritional monotony. While it is absolutely true that eggs are packed with an incredible array of high-quality nutrients, including complete protein, choline for brain health, lutein and zeaxanthin for eye health, and vitamin D, they do not and cannot contain every single nutrient your body needs to thrive. A diet that lacks variety, even if it is based on a healthy food, will inevitably lead to subtle but significant micronutrient deficiencies over time, as well as a surplus of certain compounds that need to be balanced by others. For instance, while the cholesterol in egg yolks is no longer considered the villain it once was for most people, consuming a significant amount every day without sufficient dietary fiber from other plant-based foods can make it easier for that cholesterol to become oxidized and contribute to arterial plaque. More importantly, this unwavering repetition of one meal actively crowds out a whole universe of other essential foods that offer unique and vital health benefits. By eating only eggs for breakfast, your body is being deprived of the powerful and diverse antioxidants, known as anthocyanins, found in berries, which protect against cellular damage. you miss out on the crucial soluble and insoluble fiber present in whole grains, legumes, and green vegetables, which is essential for healthy digestion, stable blood sugar, and feeding a healthy gut microbiome. You also fail to consume the diverse profile of healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals available in a variety of nuts and seeds. Gloria, a remarkably sharp and witty 72-year-old who treasured her daily morning walks and the challenge of a difficult crossword puzzle, had fallen squarely into this very trap. Her breakfast was invariable, a comforting ritual she never questioned. 2 scrambled eggs, cooked perfectly, served on a slice of buttered white toast. There were no vegetables in sight, no fruit on the side, and virtually no fiber in the entire meal. After several months of this unyielding routine, she found herself battling a frustrating combination of chronic constipation, a persistent and draining low energy that made her walks feel arduous, and a rising cholesterol number that her doctor found perplexing. Comprehensive blood work revealed the underlying issue. She was borderline deficient in several key nutrients, including vitamin B12 and folate, and was critically lacking in the broad spectrum of antioxidants that protect the body from oxidative stress. The eggs were not the problem, the rigid monotony of her diet was. Her solution, guided by a nutritionist, was simple in its concept yet profound in its impact. She consciously and deliberately introduced variety. She began to rotate her morning meals, transforming her breakfast from a static habit into a dynamic exploration of healthy foods. She began to include hard-boiled eggs with a side of mixed berries and a small bowl of chia pudding. She learned to make vibrant, colorful vegetable omelets packed with sautéed spinach, diced tomatoes, and bell peppers. She even started baking mini egg muffins in a tin, filled with a rainbow of finely chopped vegetables and a sprinkle of cheese, which she could make ahead of time. Within a few short weeks, the results were astounding. Her digestion regulated completely. Her energy levels soared, allowing her to enjoy her walks again, and her breakfast became an exciting and varied part of her day, providing her body with a much wider and more powerful spectrum of nourishment. The refrigerator mistake, storing eggs improperly. The final mistake we will explore is one that the vast majority of us make without a single moment of hesitation, an action so automatic it has become muscle memory, yet it can have surprisingly serious consequences, particularly for seniors, whose immune systems may have become more vulnerable with age. This critical error is all about where and how you store your eggs once you bring them home from the store. An eggshell, though it appears solid, smooth, and impermeable, is in reality a marvel of natural engineering, a semi-permeable membrane covered in thousands of microscopic pores. These pores allow for the transfer of gases, which is necessary for a developing chick, but they also mean the egg can absorb odors, moisture, and most critically, harmful bacteria from its immediate environment. When eggs are stored in a location with inconsistent and fluctuating temperatures, the risk of contamination skyrockets. The most common culprit is the molded plastic egg compartment built into the refrigerator door. While it seems like the most logical and convenient place to store them, the door is the warmest part of the refrigerator, and the area most susceptible to frequent temperature changes every time it is opened and closed. This constant warming and cooling can cause the egg to sweat, creating moisture on the shell's surface that provides an ideal breeding ground for harmful bacteria like Salmonella to multiply and potentially penetrate through the pores into the egg itself. Once an egg has become internally contaminated, it can look, smell, and taste perfectly normal, giving no outward sign of the danger it poses, yet it can still be the source of a significant and debilitating foodborne illness. This is precisely what happened to George, a fiercely independent and self-reliant 74-year-old widower who took great pride in managing his own home and cooking his own meals. He recently suffered through a miserable and exhausting bout of severe abdominal cramps, persistent nausea, and waves of feverish chills, which he initially dismissed as a simple stomach bug that he just had to ride out. His doctor, however, was more thorough and probed deeper during a checkup, asking detailed questions about his recent diet and food preparation habits. The investigation revealed that George had made a large, fluffy omelette for dinner a few nights before the symptoms began, using eggs he had been storing in the convenient compartment in his refrigerator door. To make matters even worse, he recalled having left that very carton of eggs on the kitchen counter for a few hours the day before while he was busy with household chores and had forgotten to put them away immediately. That seemingly minor and brief lapse in proper food safety protocol was all it took for bacteria to flourish. The advice his doctor gave him was simple, direct, but absolutely vital for his future health. Always keep eggs in their original cardboard carton, as the carton provides an extra layer of protection from both physical damage and the absorption of strong odors from other foods. Furthermore, always store that carton in the main body of the refrigerator, preferably on a middle shelf toward the back, where the temperature is the coldest and most stable. And critically, never ever leave perishable foods like eggs at room temperature for more than 2 hours. George immediately adopted these small but crucial changes to his routine, and his mysterious and recurring stomach troubles vanished completely, never to return. This tiny, mindful habit of proper storage is not a trivial matter. It is a powerful and effective tool for ensuring that your food remains a source of health and nourishment, not a potential vector for sickness and distress. Ultimately, the purpose of this detailed exploration is not to instill a sense of fear or to provoke anxiety around eating eggs. On the contrary, they remain one of the most efficient, affordable, and nutritionally beneficial foods available to us. The key to harnessing their full potential, especially as we navigate our later years, is not to eliminate them from our diet, but to elevate our understanding and to respect them by being more mindful and intentional about how we prepare, pair, and store them. By making a conscious and informed switch from inflammatory vegetable oils to healthy, stable cooking fats like extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or ghee, you effectively disarm a major source of hidden inflammation and empower the egg to do its best work for your body. By courageously breaking the deeply ingrained cultural habit of pairing eggs with carcinogenic processed meats and instead embracing vibrant, fiber-rich, and antioxidant-packed alternatives like fresh vegetables, creamy avocado, or savory beans, you transform your plate into a symphony of synergistic nutrients. By diversifying your breakfast menu and breaking free from the restrictive chains of a rigid, monotonous routine, you provide your body and your gut microbiome with the wide and varied array of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients they desperately need to function optimally. And by adopting simple, scientifically backed food safety practices for storage, you protect your more vulnerable immune system from unnecessary risks. These simple, conscious, and deliberate shifts have the power to turn your morning meal from a potential source of hidden inflammation, metabolic disruption, and cellular stress into a powerful, proactive, and deeply satisfying act of self-care. Your breakfast plate is not merely a way to quell morning hunger, it is a daily opportunity, a blank canvas upon which you can build a stronger, healthier, more resilient, and more vibrant you. And now, armed with this deeper knowledge, you possess all the tools you need to do it wisely, deliciously, and joyfully for all the years to come.